Welcome to Merit Medical. Come on in.
My name is Oisín Morrin. I'm a manufacturing engineer here in Merit Medical. I went to St. Gerald's College in Tuam and I studied science in Galway. Growing up, I wanted to become a doctor just because I was fascinated with how the body worked and I loved everything sciencey. So in secondary school, I loved science, and then going into Leaving Cert, I studied biology, agricultural science, chemistry and applied maths. So I was already equipped to go and study science, and it's what I had an interest in. Galway is kind of a central hub for medical device companies, so there was plenty of jobs there, so I said I'd try my hand and see what happened. What excites me about STEM is it brings answers to questions you've asked since you were a child. Science kind of teaches you the method of looking at a question and going and answering it, finding results. So that's what really excites me about STEM. Like I said, biology kind of came naturally, but when it came to languages, I just struggled. Nearly failed it because of English, but all kind of more so biology-based science subjects I loved. I hadn't really heard a lot about STEM as a teenager. I only really became introduced to it when I started applying for jobs. It was mentioned briefly in college, but when I went out looking for work, I seen that most places just needed a STEM qualification. So as a manufacturing engineer, I'm over a whole manufacturing area. So day to day I'd look at problem solving, seeing what's going wrong in the area, trying to fix it, bring in solutions that this problem will never arise. Also do a couple of projects, so whether they're cost saving exercises to save money for the business or making the line more efficient, day to day it varies. It's probably exactly that, just that every day it's a different problem, different work you're doing. No 2 days are the same and keeps the job interesting. I'm travelling in January, hopefully, depending on how COVID is. I'm going to Italy, and it's to do with a project. We're scoping out equipment, testing it and hopefully bringing it back over here. Day to day, we would deal with quality engineers, planners, supervisors in the area. There would also be buying and planning. And then occasionally when we're working on work documents, there'll be regulatory affairs, design assurance. So we tie in with nearly every area here in the company. Priorities for the year ahead are to bring in the 2 pieces of equipment I mentioned earlier. They're being brought in from Italy and it should speed up the whole process and make the wires better. Other than that, just make sure that the area is functioning properly, no major issues and everything's ticking over. There was no placement in science, but I feel like my thesis prepared me for the work I'm doing today. So we were shown a problem, we had to plan it, see how we'd attack it and work to find a solution using scientific method. It's probably just to travel. I was in Canada there a year and a half ago for 3 months and I loved it. So any chance I get going forward, I'll be travelling. I'd say just study hard. You may have your eyes set on one college course, but there's always ways around. Like I'm working now as a manufacturing engineer, but I studied science. Just because you don't get your course doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
Okay, so my name's Duffy and I'm a project engineer here in Merit Medical, and I have been here since 2009, so 11 years now. So growing up, I wanted to become a forensic psychologist, and I realised pretty shortly after a few years that I'm not very good with blood and I faint, so that wasn't going to be the best career path for me to follow. So then I got into science then in school, so that's where I went on from there. So I suppose when I started off school, I kind of thought I would be into languages, so I did 2 languages up until junior cert, and then I suppose I had science as well, but then I decided then after that then that I would start chemistry and biology for leaving cert. So that's kind of where I suppose I really enjoyed those subjects, and I did a lot better in those subjects than the languages, so that's where I went on to do science then. So I suppose being from Galway myself and having probably the most medical device factories, I decided then obviously when I did my science degree that science engineering was linked, and then I started my career then in Morrin Medical. I suppose I didn't hear a lot about STEM, I suppose, when I was in school. Like I finished school in 2003, so I suppose STEM was kind of being introduced in 2001, so I didn't hear a lot about it. But I suppose like that, all through school and obviously doing the college degree as well, I was excited then about the science and technology, and I suppose every day being able to solve problems and work in that industry. So like I was saying, the favourite subjects I suppose were languages to begin with in early days school, and then obviously chemistry and biology. Then my friends always used to laugh when I was like, I'm going to chemistry. They'd be like, none of them did chemistry, so they found it very, I suppose they were probably intrigued as well by it. And my worst subjects really were probably maths and physics, so we had to do them as part of our science degree in first year as well, and I wasn't very good. I was glad after the end of first year to not have to do those again and just focus then on the other subjects that I was good at. So I suppose like I was saying earlier on, I didn't hear a lot about STEM, I suppose. It was kind of only introduced really towards the end of my college kind of course, so wouldn't really, but I suppose obviously I was always interested in science growing up and how would this work and how would that work, so I suppose I always just really enjoyed science. So probably not enough. Like if we look at now, there's another female engineer, I suppose. She just started in March, but before that I was probably in the production area the only female engineer for the last 3 or 4 years. Now there is a few more female engineers in the R&D department, but not as much in production. So definitely it feels like here a lot of the female go into the quality kind of engineer roles rather than production, and I suppose you think that, I suppose I probably would have thought as well, engineering, like technician, oh God, a man has to do that job, like a male has to do that job, but really like you don't have to be going down like fixing the machines, like that isn't the part of the engineering, like, you know, you use your problem solving, continuous improvement, like it's all, both female and male can do that job. So I suppose analytical skills, problem solving skills, you know, you have to have good communication skills as well. Like you have a lot of people to deal with on a daily basis, like from production to R&D to reg affairs to planning. So really communication is very important there. So I suppose it's a busy role, you're kept busy every single day, lots of problems, but then I suppose being able to solve those problems as well is good satisfaction in the job. So I suppose, like I said there before, so I'm working on a project now to introduce a new product into production. So a lot of my work would be with quality, R&D, reg affairs, so literally a wide variety of different areas. Yes, so I suppose what Oisín said there, we both work in the same areas. So we have 70,000 wires a month, I suppose, which get used in procedures all over the world. So I definitely think that we are making a difference. So my priorities for the year ahead is we have a new product coming, so we're trying to get it into commercialisation by the end of the year. So my role in that is to have a smooth transition, I suppose, from that R&D development into production and ensure that goes smoothly. No, so as part of mine we didn't have any placement, and I do think like that is very important. Like, so I do think that the college courses are kind of introducing that a bit more, and I suppose here in Morrin we do have the graduate programme as well, which I didn't get to go on obviously back then, but that is a good way, because you have your graduate program, you do it for 2 years, and then you can work in 4 different areas. So I suppose you can see how all those areas link together, like quality, reg affairs, production, R&D. So I suppose you get to see it and experience it then, and kind of decide where you want to go from there then. So my bucket list is just to, I suppose I have done a bit of traveling. I went to Australia for a year after I finished college. So I did get to travel for a year, but definitely, especially now during COVID times, you can't travel anywhere. I'm definitely looking forward to getting back on holidays again. So more traveling. So I finished secondary school when I was 16, so I was very, very young finishing school. So I really was definitely one of these people that didn't know what I wanted to do. So I suppose I had a variety of things on my CEO, and I suppose obviously getting the higher grades in the science and chemistry and biology subjects, then that's kind of where I had my route towards then. So don't put pressure on yourself. You know, if you don't pick the right course, I suppose first of all you can always go back and do something else again.